point. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know that the time is right, and welcome to this educational session in how to nail the job interview, led by Eugenio Jaramillo, who is a construction consultant. Welcome, Gino. Thank you for being always so eager and willing to support, to share and contribute with every place you go. I think that you just enlightened all the districts that you have visited.
Thank you, sir.
For being here. So,
my pleasure.
I'm going to be very brief in introducing Eugenio, right?
Yeah, please be brief.
Construction consultant, a professional speaker, a published author, and a professor at 4 universities currently. He has a unique passion for serving others by sharing his over 4 decades of work experience in corporate America. He credits much of his success to his ability to connect with people on a very personal level. He was the director of aviation construction for a South Florida contractor. Look at this. Listen, he created over 600 million of aviation construction projects, executed them flawlessly and profitably over a 25-year storied career. He has shared his expertise through coaching professionals and teaching students at Florida International University, Miami-Dade College, Wolf. He's a volunteer state community college at the University of Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome 2 times distinguished Toastmasters, Eugenio Jaramillo. Welcome, Eugenio. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Happy to be on here. I changed the acronym DTM. Instead of Distinguished Toastmaster, it means devoted to mentoring. And that's my new calling. And that's why I do this. That's why I touch so many people. To get started, I want to introduce myself. I'm a bit of a Renaissance man. I have 2 degrees, Bachelor of Science, Electrical Engineering. I have an MBA at University of Miami. I was a computer engineer for about 5 years, became a real estate developer. I sold knives and trained people on how to sell them. I brought the first Checkers franchise to South Florida. I became a construction expert over 25 years. I became a yoga instructor, a gallerist, and an artist. And then I had to reinvent myself because I was let go summarily and surprisingly after a 25-year career with the same contractor. And I became a YouTuber, a building appraiser, an adjunct professor, and OSHA Training Institute Education Center instructor, a professional speaker, a published author, a corporate trainer, a QC auditor, an owner's rep, an expert witness. And my latest gig is that I applied to be a Fulbright scholar, and I became a Fulbright specialist for the next 3 years. So I get to travel the world teaching others, which is my new passion, my new reinvention, is to mentor and teach others. So tonight, we're going to talk about having a conversation, which is what an interview is. It's a conversation, and treat it as a conversation. Don't get all formal and nervous. It's just 2 people talking between an applicant and a potential employer. Sometimes you might be interviewed by the hiring manager or by somebody in the HR department or somebody in the organization that is the screener of people. And it is an assessment. They're figuring out, what can this person bring to us? Are they a good fit? So you're being assessed the whole time. Now, what's the purpose? Is to get an offer. You go to an interview to get a job offer. Simple as that. And then you, in turn, should be able to elucidate, what is it that you offer? What is the value that you bring? And your resume has to say that. That's another workshop. I'm doing that in 2 weeks for my FIU students. I do a resume and LinkedIn workshop. So that's something that we can do in the future. So you have to say who you are and what value you bring. Now, why is this format done? It's the most popular, it's traditional, it's most known, it's been done for decades. It is tried and true. People are familiar with the process. What kinds are there? Well, there's unstructured, informal. Maybe they get invited to lunch. If you get invited to lunch, don't order sloppy food. Don't order spaghetti or ribs. They're checking you out. Oh, and if they offer you a drink, don't take a drink. Do not. That's a trick that you do to see if you're going to drink at lunchtime. Or it could be structured, very formal in an office setting at a desk. When you sit at the interview, it's good to sit at the edge of your chair too. That's another little tip I have for you. It could be a phone interview. It could be done in person or online. Very popular these days to do something online, especially when you have a potential candidate that is not in the same city where he or she will be working. So here is the interview starts. Here's what happens. Here's my pre-interview tips. So this is everything before the interview you want to get comfortable with. Number one is I always ask people, hey, do you have a resume? And people raise their hand. Yeah, I have a resume. The next question is it updated? You have to have an updated resume because your resume is a living, breathing document of who you are. You should constantly be updating it for duties and responsibilities, accomplishments, certifications, education, whatever is new in your life should be on that resume. Your LinkedIn profile should match precisely. They'll get your resume, but you know what? They're going to look you up on LinkedIn and it better be matching. No gaps, no different places. And you should really scrub your social media. I'll talk about that in a moment. But LinkedIn, that's where you want to put a lot of effort. I have 10,500 plus connections there, and I use them to benefit my students. Do have a professional profile picture in that LinkedIn profile that's going to get you more views, going to take you more serious. They're going to pay attention to you. If you have something where you got a big fish and you catch a fish, no, that's not a proper. You know, I get the ones with my students where they're standing at the back of a wall because they're wearing a tuxedo and they think that's a great picture, but they just take it at their friend's wedding. That's not a professional headshot. You need a professional headshot. Did I see more? Oh yeah, here it is. Scrub your social media. I had a case in the construction company where 3 young people wrecked into what's known as our maintenance of traffic, and they plowed through it, and a 15-inch steel pipe went through the driver's windshield, and he was dead on impact. And then 2 young ladies that were with him also were very seriously injured. Plus, they hurt one of my subcontractors' worker. And so what I found out, I'll make the story a little shorter, is that the insurance companies, they put these private investigators, and these private investigators can look at your LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, social media, Facebook and all that. And they noticed because of the postings that we're doing there and the conversations that the kids had been smoking marijuana and drinking in the Keys and drove all night. They were partying. And that was a detriment to their case, obviously. Don't have pictures of you in a bikini, you drinking under the keg for 10 seconds, you know, eliminate all that sophomorish, Greek. The Greeks do that, all the clubs. And then know the various web conferencing platforms. What I mean by that, it's not just Zoom. Zoom is popular. I love Zoom, but you have MS Teams, Google, what do they call it? Google Meetup, something like that. But know all those platforms. Be able to navigate them and get on there. You don't know which one they're going to tell you to get on. Make sure you know them. More pre-interview trips. Treat everyone you meet as your interviewer. So if you go to the building and you're going to ask somebody for directions, don't be rude. If you see the janitor, be nice, say hello. Treat everybody like they're the interviewer. Create a strong first impression. Smiling, always smiling. Be ready for the small talk. Be on message from the outset. What is your value? What are you bringing? And first impressions count, and you only have one chance to make a first impression. So be ready. Now, here's the phone tips. If they opt for a phone interview, I'm not a big fan of that, but it is being used. Focus and cut out all distractions. That means if you have your phone, don't have it next to you here. Put your phone away completely. Silence all notifications on your computer and focus. Smile when speaking. You ever do that? You ever get on the phone and just smile on the phone? Hey, how are you? How you do? When you smile, it comes across. People know you're smiling, believe it or not. Take it as seriously as an in-person interview. It counts. It matters. Listen and don't dominate the conversation. We have 2 ears and only one mouth. So listen more. It's about 80% listening, only 20% talking. Slow down and take your time. Pause. Use your Toastmaster skills of not using filler words. Pause. More phone tips. Do some research before the interview. That means with Google and the internet, you can find almost any company, and you can also find the interviewer on LinkedIn. Look them up. It's valuable information. You never know when you're going to say something from there. Be ready for the most common phone interview questions. Prepare your own little cheat sheet. If you need little notes, make sure you have your notes with you. Send a thank you email. I like emails. Do not text. That's like too intimate. I've had a lot of people get upset about getting a text, especially the time that you send the text. They don't like it. If you're sending it after dinner or something, a thank you email is good. My personal favorite is a handwritten note or card. You can buy these little cards. They're 3x5, has an envelope. It says thank you on it, and then take the time to handwrite whatever it is that you're grateful for. It's really appreciated. I've gotten few in my career, and I've saved them all because they're that important to me. Now, here's what you don't do. Don't stay up late the night before. It's like what I tell my students. Don't sit there and cram the night before for an exam. If you don't know it already, you haven't studied, staying up till 1, 2, 3 in the morning, that's not going to help you. So get a good night's rest, take it easy, give yourself some care. This is for in person. Go easy on personal fragrances. Don't get all perfumed up and cologne. Don't use a lot of it. Use something mild. Obviously, you want to use deodorant and things that don't allow you to smell bad, but don't overpower them with your fragrance. Don't schedule errands, appointments, or reunions. Anything around the interview that you're going to have to hustle to or hustle from. No, just the interview, block out a good amount of time for that, and don't schedule anything else. And don't show up looking disheveled. Very easy to do if you're running late. I told Carlos before I started the meeting, 15 minutes early is the new on time. On time is late, and late is unacceptable. Don't be late. You're going to show up disheveled because you couldn't find a parking space. You couldn't find where it was. You're running all over the place. And if you live in South Florida where I do, and I'm running with my coat on, I'm going to be sweating and disheveled, and my hair is going to be standing up. Do avoid smelly foods. That means garlic or anything that can end up stuck in your teeth. So give yourself a check in the mirror. Smile into the mirror and make sure you have nothing in your teeth. In person, treat everyone you meet as the interviewer. As you get there, see them. Create a first strong impression. They count. A firm handshake and eye contact. Do not take your eyes off of that person when you are shaking their hand. And I practice shaking hands with a lot of my students because I'll get to what I call the wet fish, right? You get this one. where they grab just this part of your hand. No, a firm handshake. Get in there, shake it, look them in the eyes. It's strokes of confidence. Do be ready for the small talk. Could be football, baseball, whatever's going on in your hometown. Avoid politics. And be on message from the outset. On messages, I'm here to prove to you that I deserve this job, that I want this job, that I can add value. Stay on message. Do be authentic. People will smell out when you are lying. Be up to speed on current events. What's happening? We know we had the debates last night. Don't have to get into it, but at least you know you're aware of that. Be consistent. Dress to impress. Gentlemen, I always recommend a jacket. Carlos has a jacket. He doesn't have a tie. That's pretty standard for South Florida. For something a little more formal, you might want the tie. Ladies, make sure your hair is groomed. Try not to wear eyeglasses unless you have to, but do dress to impress. You should always be dressing for the role that you're going to be taking, or for even a role above. And be kind and smile. Everybody practice smiling now. Now, if you're on a web platform, you still have to dress for success. So you see here, you don't see that I'm wearing my pajamas underneath, okay? I'm already relaxing in my pajamas. This is my COVID outfit. So the upper part, make sure it's nice and dressed. Look at the camera the entire time. I try to do that. It's very difficult. It's a reporter's trick that all they do is look at the camera the entire time. Of course, I have the Brady Bunch over here on the right, and I have my PowerPoint on the left. So my eyes do kind of veer, but if you want good eye contact, get into that little dot that is your camera. Use a headset, or I like to use the AirPods. Oh, my hand is pointing in the wrong direction here. Wait. So I use the AirPods. If you don't use AirPods, it sounds like you're screaming and you get kind of an echo. So some kind of earpiece or earphones with a microphone is a good, proper etiquette. Do upload a professional headshot in your profile. So for instance, let's see if it works for me, where if I hide my video, no, it just has my name. That's because I logged into this differently, but usually I have my headshot there. So I see that before I even told her, Hannah already has her headshot, professional headshot right there. So her camera's not on, but she's got her nice headshot right there. When you're not speaking, go ahead and mute. I appreciate Carlos and Hannah, you guys are muted, and Irma. Richard, you can go ahead and mute yourself until it's time to speak, to ask a question. One quick trick is that if you are muted and you would like to speak, all you do is hold your space bar down. When you hold the space bar, Richard, you want to try it?
Yeah.
And speak?
Yeah, it works. That's a good trick. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then it turns it back off. Sometimes people are looking on the screen and trying to click, and just a little space bar, say what you got to say, and then get off again. Now, here's some common errors. I picked this up from LinkedIn for interviews. This is like when you're really inexperienced, maybe a college student would experience this more, but they struggle with eye contact. I see that a lot. These, the eyes get all shifty. They're looking everywhere. They don't look at the interviewer. They ask for unreasonable compensation. Compensation should be one of the last subjects you really talk about. Or they dressed inappropriately. Look how many people, 47% of the respondents dressed inappropriately. Refuse to turn on camera during a virtual interview. That's a big faux pas. Turn on your camera. Make sure you're presentable. And then the other one is, this is crazy, but they brought their parent to the interview. Yeah, they used to be the millennials. Now they're Gen Zs. And now it's a combination. It's like zillennials. And then really it's Generation Alpha. And then I coined another one, which is Generation C, and the C is for COVID. Here's some common questions you might be asked, and it's good to do like a table topics to yourself on this to practice some of these. Why should we hire you? You really should have a nice little table topics already programmed for you if they ask you this question. Remember to focus on what value you bring to the company. They'll give you an open-ended, tell me about yourself. Make sure there's another presentation I do that I used to call it the elevator pitch. Now I call it the power pitch. And it's you in 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Okay. You should be able to say what you do, where you're from, what your name is, quickly tell about yourself. What is your biggest weakness? This is a kind of a trick question they do. And here, don't lie. Don't make up something that sounds good. If you have a genuine weakness, be authentic, be real, and say it. You may say you're a perfectionist, or you don't have patience for others, or you don't have patience for incompetence. What is your salary expectation? That is a loaded question because you have to ask a lot of questions before you get there. And usually if they ask you that, don't give a number, give a range. What would you be comfortable with on the low end? What would you be comfortable with on the high end? And don't make that too far apart, because if you give a really high number, it's going to turn them off. Don't shoot for the moon. Be realistic. Find out what they're paying for that position. Find out with others. Maybe you ask the question, oh, what is this position? Usually, what is the range for this position? So turn the question back on them. Why are you interested in this role? Again, another table topic. Why do you want to do this? You can say it's a career change for you. It's a career move. You're interested in learning. You're interested in contributing to the company. How do you handle stress and pressure? And be honest here. How do you handle stress? Do you punch the wall, or do you go have a 6-pack of beer? You got to be honest about what you do here. Maybe you do yoga. Maybe you exercise. Maybe you do breathing exercises. And what is or are your strengths? This should be an easy one for you. You should know yourself. You know what you're strong at. And I would say all of you might be able to say, I'm a great public speaker. Question to ask the interviewer. Now turn it around on them. What are the expectations for a team member in this position? What are you expecting from me? What does this role entail? Will those expectations change over time? And companies are doing this now because of this shortage that I spoke about at the International Convention of workers. There's two things. There's quiet quitting and quiet hiring. Quiet quitting is these zillennials or millennials, or what do you want to call them? They're doing just the minimum to keep their job. They're not going over and above. They're not going the extra mile. But the companies are getting smarter now, since they cannot find these workers. They're giving the existing workers more work. So they will change their expectations over time. You need to find that out. They're just going to give you more work. What's a typical day look like here at this company? When do people start? When do they finish? When do they go to lunch? So what does the day look like? So you can accommodate yourself to their culture. Where do you see the company in 5 years? That's a really good question, because you could follow it up with, where do you see me in 5 years? What are the company's values? This is one of the things that I preach when I learned about that I was let go after 25 years of loyal service with integrity and honesty, is you have to research the company. And if your values do not match the values of the company, turn away and go out the door. Your values have to match. and you can research them. You can figure them out. You can call suppliers, you can call vendors, you can call customers. Hey, what are these people like? What are their values? What are the next steps in the interview process? Please make sure you get this question in, because you're going to get all antsy if you don't. Oh man, I went to that interview and they didn't call me. What's going on? Should I call them? Should I email them? Should I text them? What do I do? Have them lay out the process for you. You might be the first person they see out of 5 candidates. Maybe they want to see more candidates. Learn the process and be patient and work the process. Now, this one is a conglomerate, and Carlos, I can share this with you and you can share it with them, of other questions. There's one that's repeated there. So what does a typical day look like? And it's got some tips on there. So I'm not going to read every one of these, but this is something that Carlos can share with you guys. Maybe there's a table topic session in here. 8 things to say at the interview and mean it. You have researched the company well. You know what products or services they deliver, what kind of clients they have. You know the company. Don't go in there not knowing the company. That's a foolish move. You have the experience to do the job at hand. Highlight that experience. In your resume, at the top of your resume, people like to put objective. That's old. That's passé. Don't put that. What you put is a profile summary or executive summary of what are you an expert in and for how long. That's experience. And that's what you need to sell in that first line of your resume. Let them know that you're constantly seeking to learn. I know when I went to engineering school, I was so sick of school. It was so hard. I hated tests. And I said, I'm never picking up a book again. And guess what? Now I became a lifelong learner. Say that in your interview, that you're a lifelong learner. You're looking to learn. You're looking for growth opportunities, be it personal growth, professional growth, career growth, development, professional development. You should be actively seeking that all the time. That you work well with others, and say this if you mean it. Do you really work well with others? Or I like to say this, that geniuses work alone. Everybody else works in a team. And even Einstein had a team. So you're not a genius. You're not going to work alone. You need to work well with others. You are motivated. You have lots of energy. You're excited about the job. Say it. Say you're excited about this opportunity. Heck, I get these kids that come to me. I'm the lifetime member of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and I coach them and mentor them and review their resumes and all this stuff. And when these kids get a job offer from Disney, are you kidding me? They're jumping out of their chair. They're getting a job offer from Disney. That's how excited you should be. You have a plan, and hope is not a plan. I always ask people, hey, what's your 5-year plan? I hope to own my own company. I hope to be a general contractor. No, hope is not a plan. That's a plan. Let's go. What are you doing? What's your short-term goal? What's your medium-term goal? What's your long-term goal? If your long-term goal is to get your GC license and open your own company, well, you better set the goal of when you're going to study, when are you going to take the test, when are you going to pay for the licenses, when are you going to get insurance. Have a plan. And let them know that you want to build a career in the company. You're not looking to job hop. You want to grow within the company. There's some big companies out there that they like to grow their own. I know that in the construction business, there's a company called Turner that they like to hire from within. So if you expect to make it to a VP or a director of operations or in the C-suite, you got to come in from the bottom up. And you're going to work your way all the way up from the mailroom to the C-suite. Now, how to close the interview. 9 things that you should never do. One is be clueless about the company and the interviewer. With LinkedIn, you can find out who's interviewing you, know their title, their position, know some of their background. Don't be clueless. Talk too soon about money and benefits. That conversation will eventually happen. Don't bring it up unless they bring it up. Don't bring it up too early. And remember, money is always a range. And benefits, most companies are competitive these days. They're going to give you health insurance and vision and dental and 401k and paid time off. That's pretty standard stuff. You don't have to worry about that. And that grows as you stay with a company longer. When I first started, I had 2 weeks a year. Then I moved up to 3 weeks a year, and then I got 4 weeks a year. So benefits do change over time. Don't be late. What did I say? Late is unacceptable. Don't get there late, or worse, too early. Now, early is good, but too early shows anxiety, shows that you're desperate. So don't do that. Forget copies of your resume. Yeah, they got it electronically, or they got it somehow, but bring your resume. Bring a nice portfolio. Bring it with you. Nice paper. It's printed on good paper. Don't use cheap toilet paper. Nice copy of your resume. Don't trash a previous employer or supervisor. I applied for a position at the computer company because I was tired of working what I did in the special systems department. And I applied for a position, and this other man, my peer, also applied, but he presented himself as he was running away from something. Oh, that bad department, that bad supervisor, that bad work. I'm running away. Where I presented myself like, hey, man, I already mastered that. I'm looking for a new opportunity. I'm coming to something. I'm going forward. I'm moving forward to the future. You present yourself as an opportunity. So forget the past. Don't talk bad about your previous employer. Hey, do not lack energy and enthusiasm. You see my energy? I'm going to be 70 years old next year. And today I did a demo meeting. I taught a class for 2.5 hours. And now I'm doing this Zoom call at 10 p.m. my time. Energy. It'll get you everywhere. Don't talk too much. I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm going to give you guys a chance here to do a little Q&A. And then don't clam up at the end when they ask you, hey, you got any questions? Yes, I have questions. I just gave you like 10 of them. Ask questions. Even if you know the answer, ask the question. If you don't ask questions, it doesn't seem like you're interested. And last but not least, do not leave your cell phone on. Don't even look at it. Keep it in your pocket. Keep it in your briefcase. Keep it somewhere else because it's very distracting and disrespectful to look at your phone. And if you wear one of those Apple Watches where it kind of buzzes on you, I would turn that feature off because that's a dead giveaway. Oh, I just got an email. Oh, I just got a text message. Here are the steps to close the interview. Do ask pointed questions about the job and the company. If you've read somewhere, hey, how come you guys are laying off all these people? That's a pointed question. They better answer you. Okay. Get some pointed question. Restate your interest in the position. Tell them why you're interested and how you fit and what value you bring to the company. That's the next one. Summarize why you are the one for the job. You bring the experience, the qualification, the certifications, the knowledge, the network. Don't forget your network. If you're applying for like sales, you have a network. Your network is probably the most valuable thing. Do find out the next steps so you don't get all anxious. Hey, where are we going from this? What's next? Or you're going to call me in 3 days? You're going to send me an email within 24 hours? What's the next steps? Continue to hone your interview skills. Apply all over the place. Here's a tip. I went to a women in tech conference. It was now I forgot the name of the entity, but Google has a training that they do for a program for women. It's called I Am Remarkable. And they try to give women confidence that they are remarkable. And you have a whole exercises and workshops where you list all the reasons why you're remarkable. What I found out there is that men will apply to a position when they hit maybe 60 to 70% of the qualifications that they're looking for. They'll say, oh yeah, check, check, check. No, no problem. Check, check. Women, on the other hand, feel like they need to check off 100%. Oh, I got to get everyone. Oh, they missed one. No, I'm not applying. Don't do that. When you get to 60%, apply for the job and go get an interview just so you can practice, even if you're not going to get the job. Do send the thank you emails. That's always polite to do. I like the handwritten note or card better. I've kept them for years. I've said that before. Now, here's 7 signs that you nailed it. After all, what is this presentation called? How you know you nailed the interview? The interview ran longer than planned. And they told you, yeah, it's going to be a half hour. And they talk to you for an hour. Oh, that's a really good sign. Or they bring somebody else. They start bringing other people. You felt a great connection or a rapport with the interviewer. You hit it off. The interviewer had positive body language. What if the interviewer, why did I turn off my camera? That was a mistake. What if the interviewer did this? Yeah? What's going on? Oh, okay.
Cold shoulder.
Cold shoulder, baby. If they're squared to you, they're making eye contact, positive body language. That's how you know you nailed it. Next, you were asked about other prospects. Hey, did you interview with anybody else? Is somebody else making you a job offer? Ooh, that's a telltale sign. That means they're interested in you. You're invited to meet others. I kind of mentioned that already, but all of a sudden, hey, Larry, the manager of the, get over here, meet this guy. And it happens impromptu. It's not planned. I remember when I had my interview for my computer engineer job, they took me to like 5 different people. The one person said, okay, this guy, yeah, okay, let's go meet the other people. So they introduce you to other people, good sign. You are encouraged to stay in touch. They give you their card. They give you their LinkedIn link. They give you their phone number. They tell you to text. They tell you to email. They want you to stay in touch. That's a good sign that you nailed it. And you are asked for references. Here's one thing not to do on your resume. A lot of students like to put references available upon request. Duh. They're going to ask you for references. Of course. It's part of the application process. They're going to ask you for 3 minimum. But you, to be ready, know who those references are. Call those references and say, hey, I put you down as a reference for such and such job. You might get a call from such and such person. Are you ready? And make sure those 3 references you give are going to talk nice about you. Don't give a reference that's going to talk poorly of you. You will be asked for references. Make sure you have them lined up. And if they ask you, hey, when you get a chance, send us your references. Send them the name, the contact, the phone number, the email. That's how you know you nailed it. You got it? I went kind of quick. We didn't have a large audience, but we can hang out for some questions and answers, because I feel that when the questions are asked and answered, that is when the true learning happens. I do this with my students all the time. And if you don't ask me a question, I'm going to ask you a question. Open up your mics and ask.
I can ask a question. Because
Sure.
one of the things that you had talked about near the beginning was the fact that resumes are evolving documents and they should have everything on there that you've done or that you're working on. And there are some people who think that you should really tailor your resume super specifically to the job that you're applying to. And I'm wondering if what your opinion is on removing things from your resume that might seem irrelevant, but could showcase other skills, but aren't necessarily specific to the job that you're applying for.
Yeah, I would say you got it right. When I said everything, there's two things. There's a resume and there's a CV, curriculum vitae. And that's for like us professors that we put our research papers, we put where we spoke, we put our books we've written, societies that we belong to, conferences that we've attended, that we've presented. So it's everything. It's your life. It's your whole history. For you, it's more of a tailor job. Yes. What I was alluding to is I don't like putting, oh, I was responsible for blah, blah, blah. No, you did this or you did that. So you have to have past tense, excuse me, action words like supervised, trained, controlled, audited. But if you use too many of those, it makes you look like a doer. So you have to have results. So if you say there, I directed an entire aviation construction program worth $650 million with 21 people at my charge, that has stats, that has meats, it has metrics. So you give results with metrics. That makes you look like a leader, a forward thinker. Great question.
Yeah, kind of on that same topic there. What do you how do you kind of get past the barriers of you know, when you say about action words, there's a lot of screening that happens beforehand. Is there sort of any advice around that, or is that just you're just going to have to sort of throw as much stuff against the wall until somebody gives you an interview?
Yeah, I would put what's real, what you really done, what you really accomplished. If you supervise a team of 25 people, put that because you did it. And that's something that it's a talking point. It's something to expand on at the interview. I like things that people put like skills, they put leadership. How do you know? What do you mean? A soft skill? What? How did you get that? So there's some nebulous things that I would leave out. I would put actual things you've done and what were the results with metrics. I kept metrics for all my projects.
So then you're kind of at the beginning of a career doing stuff for free, maybe. Like I feel like Toastmasters is kind of part of that, but finding projects where they'll look good on your resume, but maybe you don't, you know, there's lower barriers to entry than a job. Do you have any advice on that sort of stuff?
Well, I think that all experiences lead you to the experience that you are going to have now. So it's okay to get the experience. If you don't have the experience in a certain thing, you might as well get it, especially if it has a lower barrier to entry and you can put it on your resume. Now, it doesn't look good if you're a month here, 2 months there, 3 months here, a month there. The longevity also plays a big part. And then any employment gaps, you should be able to explain why you have a gap. For ladies, it's usually, oh, I went off and had a baby and raised kids for 3, 4, 5 years. And then I'm back in the workforce, legitimate. Or you went to school, or you went and got some training. And that's why you have that employment gap.
One
What about,
question.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yep, is how do you see the trend of, interviews or having robots in all this big game society, where we're
Yeah.
going, where we're heading, AI?
Wow. That's a big one. I can tell you this about AI. I went to a conference of academic deans from all over South America and Spain and here in South Florida, hosted by FIU. And we had a panel. It was 3 ladies on the panel. They worked in HR, human resources. And one lady revealed that today, and this was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, companies are using AI. Because remember, AI really came out hard November of 2022, I want to say. They're using AI to screen resumes. That's your first filter. So what I tell about resumes, don't use fancy formatting. Don't get all with colors and different fonts and all this formatting and lines and your picture, simple. The simpler, the better. What AI is looking for is the keywords, the buzzwords of the industry. Use as many of those keywords, and the keywords come from the ad. When they say, oh, we need somebody that's familiar with blockchain technology, you've got to say, I'm familiar with blockchain technology. So you use the keywords from the ad. As far as a robot interviewing a person, I don't see that in a foreseeable future. What I do see is this, that remember when calculators came out in the 70s, professors were all up in arms. Wow, these kids are going to cheat and oh, we're done. And no, they can't. My daughter now uses a scientific calculator to do her pre-calculus course. They're accepted, they're allowed. Same thing with AI. There's going to be pushback at first. France even tried to pass some laws limiting AI, but AI needs to be embraced. It's like Excel. People first didn't like Excel, then they started using it, and then they liked it more and more, and now they use it a lot. AI is the same. You have to embrace it. As a minimum, if English is your second language, use AI to help you write your emails. You're going to sound better. You're going to look smarter. So use of AI by the person is going to be the key, not so much AI as against you.
Thank you. And now,
welcome.
ladies and gentlemen, it's time to thank everyone for his attendance, and especially Gino. Gino, thank you so very much for your
It's my pleasure.
support. And this is a certificate of appreciation. It's just a certificate, but to us means a lot, your presence today.
Thank you so much. Are you going to email that to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me say to you guys that Gino uses email, he uses WhatsApp, and perhaps he also is in WeChat. I'm very happy to say that he's very flexible. He's self-transformed over the years. And thank you for this wonderful DTM is devoted to mentorship.
Yes.
Right?
Devoted to mentoring. You're welcome.
Perhaps, Richard, you can have some final words, the same as Hannah. You want to say something? This is your 30 seconds moment.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure, I'll just say something quick. That was a very thorough review of a lot of different stuff. I found it helpful. I took a lot of notes, so I got to process it, but I really appreciate it. Like, it's kind of excited me to go and do some job interviews. I don't need a job right now, but now I want to try all this stuff. So thank you.
You nailed it. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree. Echoing that, I think that this is a really helpful session, and I appreciate your time and the amount of information that was in those slides. I think it's good for practical application. So thank you for that. It was really helpful.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Irma, we know you're there. You may be busy, but open to just say something unless you want to keep that way.
Here she comes.
Irma, yeah.
I heard her.
Oh, perfect. Okay, you got it. You got it.
Here's my offer, Carlos. You can share it with them.
Perfect.
I will review your resume, send it to me to my iCloud account in Word format. I will review it, we'll hone it up, and then we'll turn it into a PDF, and I will post it on my LinkedIn feed where I have over 10,500 connections. You will get at least 1,000 views, guaranteed.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Irma.
Thank you.
All right,
Well,
you guys.
Time is very important, and this is Toastmaster session. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much, guys.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. We'll see you.
See
Take care,
you.
guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.